All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with another episode of your favorite Orange County Soccer Club podcast. We got some news. We're getting closer and closer to some real soccer out on the pitch, and that means more and more news is going to start coming our way. So Dylan and I are ready to share our thoughts and provide some of that information for you. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
We are underway in the postseason, the first playoff game ever played in Orange County.
It's a 1-2, Godoy. He's found a great ball into Voltson. Plenty of time. He smashes it home and doubles the visitors' lead. Thomas Voltson.
Now Segber sprinting forward on the counterattack. A little handsy there, crosses it. Pineda, the extra pass. Seaton finishes.
It rolls down to his left and burying aside. All taken care of by the Orange County keeper. Leave it for Aiden Quinn. He'll strike towards goal! And it's gone in! An equalizer and a winner in second half stoppage time for Orange County off the left boot of Aiden Quinn.
This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. Follow us on Twitter at OCSC_SoccerCast and on Facebook at Orange and Black Soccer Cast. How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans and supporters. I am your host, Ray Samora, and I'm with you each and every episode as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club. Joining me as he does each and every episode, we've got Dylan from County Line Coalition. Dylan, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. The rain's gone. The wind is gone. The weather's nice. So it's a good week.
Definitely. I for those of you that were listening last week, we could hear all that wonderful rain, at least Dylan and I, while we were talking back and forth recording this. As you could tell, looking behind me, I recorded in my garage just behind this door. Right behind me, my wonderful backdrop is where all that wonderful rain was coming down a week ago. It's nice to see that it's dry. It's a little bit chilly still, but it has been warming up a little bit. It's been dry though, so I don't know if you're affected by it, Dylan. I've been getting, chapped lips, a little bit of sneezing here and there, some sniffling. This is perfect time for allergies to try and affect those of you that get affected by this type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. I'm sure I sound great right now and feel wonderful. So, it's that. I think it hits everyone, and it gets so dry here. And oh god, whatever. Soccer's almost here, right?
Soccer is definitely almost here, and as we're getting closer and closer to the opening game of the season that'll be taking place up in Reno on March 9th, there is just more and more soccer news coming our way from the club and from the league. And, just it's getting exciting. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. I don't know about you, Dylan. Are you ready for all of the stuff that's coming up over here in the next, month or so?
Yeah, I think I am. Maybe a little bit worried at the same time, but very excited and just ready to get going. It's been a long off season. Haven't had anything to scream about on a Saturday in a while, and kind of miss going to the stadium every week.
Miss having a Sunday without a voice, I guess. Those of you that are the hardcore fans out in the stands, you know what I'm talking about. The yelling for a full 90 minutes. By the time the game's over, you can't even say the simplest of sentences because your voice is just shot, and Sunday's just the recovery day. Well,
you generally can't even say the most simplest of sentences or even just phrases.
Oh, I just mess them up. Apparently,
I'm actually proud of you for not messing it up this time.
We're only 5 minutes into this podcast, so I'm sure there are going to be many opportunities. I actually sort of didn't listen back to last episode because apparently people were saying that I had called you my wife at some point in the episode. That at least that's what was going on social media.
Well, I'm looking at my left ring finger, and there isn't a ring. And I was doing my taxes earlier and didn't get that nice
extra money.
Yeah, that write-off. So whenever you're ready to let me know, please do.
I'm already taken, buddy. So,
Oh,
people also liked snippets. Apparently, that's one of those words or phrases that has to go into the Ray Samora Dictionary of Ridiculous Words that'll eventually be a bestseller on the New York Times list. Whoever wants to put that together, any of our wonderful listeners who wants to just go back and listen to every episode and just jot down every ridiculous thing I ever say as far as creating a word, messing up a phrase, and we'll put something together.
it's a full-time job. You'll need to take a sabbatical from whatever you're currently doing.
Well, especially when we start getting some of these super long episodes that we've had. Last week went really long, but we were just having fun talking and enjoying stuff. And we had our guest Richard Chaplow on, so he definitely, was great to have on. And we're willing to go a little bit longer than normal when we get to have guests on and learn stuff. But enough about all this randomness. That's usually saved for the end of the show. We're going to get into the thick of things. We have quite a bit of information, I guess, to talk about this episode. Shortly after, or I think, what was it? When was it announced? Was it on Friday that it was announced? We have a new signing on the team. Harry Forster came over from the Iranian top league.
Close enough.
Yeah, I forget what the actual name of the league is. I know I can go Google it right now, but I just don't want to Google right now. But he came over from there. Prior to that, he played at AFC Wimbledon. He played at Rangers out in the Scottish Premiership. Played in a couple of the not Premier League, but second or third. I don't know.
League One.
But someone with some experience on the pitch. Now, there's some mixed feelings or from previous fans that have watched him, some of his previous teams. To be honest with you, I don't know much that has happened with him. It's not someone I've ever really followed. I didn't really know who the guy was until they signed the team, until they signed him on the team. I know I mentioned to you, Dylan, I reached out to some podcasts out in Great Britain that cover AFC Wimbledon, Rangers. We actually got a hit back from one of them, but it's just hard. They definitely can't come on when we're doing our live show because right now I believe it's like 4:30 in the morning out in England. I don't think anyone wants to wake up to record a podcast at 4:30 in the morning. But we'll see what we can find out. We might be able to do something at an off hour and maybe just play whatever information we can get and go from there. But Harry Forster, let's talk about him a bit. More of an offensive midfielder. He's also been played out in the wings during his time as a professional. Do you know? I mean, I'll ask you, Dylan. What do you know about this newest signing, other than, I guess, just knowing what his name is? I know you started like reaching out or reading, chat rooms or reaching out to people to try and get a little bit of information. What were you able to find out?
Basically, when he was with Rangers, he played as a right winger under them, and would cut in, and that's where most of his success came from. Didn't have the most prolific of spells with them. Seemed like the general consensus is that he was doing pretty well, and then got injured, and after that, that wasn't there wasn't much positive after that. I think his crowning moment, the most popular in Rangers fans' memories, is his lack of passing to an open teammate for an easy goal, instead trying to take it on himself. Other than that, Rangers fans are really critical of him. And it has been interesting because we do have a right winger already. But I think what we might be seeing is another English player coming over in hopes of kind of revitalizing the career, and hopefully that's the right idea.
Yeah, that's just me totally messing things up. Sorry to cut you off there, Dylan.
No worries. But hopefully he's coming over here and he's trying to get his revitalize his career and get it going again, because he's had a really weird time in Iran since he was released by Rangers. Hasn't played much. It's really unclear of exactly what happens with the team that he was loaned to, but he's in Orange County now, I imagine he'll probably be our right winger. Whether or not he plays in front of Darwin or not remains to be seen. Probably comes down to the preseason. And it probably comes down to his fitness as well. There were some concerns raised about his fitness. A lot of fans saying that he's got a lot of natural ability, but that if his fitness or if his mindset isn't there, then he's mostly just a liability and not really a great player. Now it is the USL, so if it is his goal to maybe earn an MLS contract or just to win something and get things going again for himself, hopefully that mindset's there.
Well, I know following on social media, the club welcomed him to the team. I know that there was a few people welcoming him to Orange County to join us. I think I'm trying to pull up his tweet right now, so just give me one moment because I want to quote him correctly. So let's see, what did it say here? Oh, this was from his Twitter account on the 18th, so shortly
Friday
after probably it was announced. Delighted to sign for Orange County Soccer Club. Looking forward to joining up with the squad out in California. Anyone who knows me will know it's always been a goal of mine to play football stateside. Majorly impressed with the ambitions of the club and can't wait to get back playing. So there you have it. I mean, you have a player at least that has wanted to come out to the United States. Now, probably it's probably safe to say the ambition isn't USL. The ambition, like you said, Dylan, is MLS. And maybe this is sort of that same type of season that we got out of Thomas and Olsen last season, where it's sort of your addition year. It's Orange County giving a player with some experience an opportunity to showcase their skills to potentially take that step up to MLS.
And I think that's what the club's trying to do, is that works out for us. We get a guy who's not had the best of the last calendar year and is looking to get things going. And if he proves himself, we could probably see him jump up. It seems like it's a pretty rare occurrence in the USL. I think now 3 players off the top of my head have done it. Mark Anthony Kay, now with LAFC, was originally with Louisville. And then this past season, 2 guys with Louisville, whose names I can't remember, went up to join Orlando City. So I imagine, he probably won't be playing for one of the Southern California teams if he really proves himself, but that opportunity is there and people have done it before. I'd say he's probably in the prime of his career. He's 28. He'll be 29 next year. So hopefully we're the beneficiary of a guy trying to get things going again.
It's sort of one of those things. And those of you that are listening, I'm showing Dylan just some highlight reels of what's going on. You probably can't see it on your screen, which I would apologize for. But it's one of those things that, you can expect some good stuff out of a player with some experience like this. Who knows what'll happen. Could end up being a total disaster. I'm expecting some things because just looking at some of his highlights, he has some skills. He has the ability to put the ball in the net. From what I could see from some highlight reels, I know it's just basically showing the best moments, so sometimes it's not the best source of information when you're just looking at highlights. But I'm expecting, or I'm hoping, that he's going to be someone that's going to come to the team and help us out. I mean, it's definitely something to look forward to. It's that time of year where you start getting more and more signings announced, and you could do a lot worse than a Harry Forrester.
Yeah, sure. and I think at worst it provides some competition for Darwin
and competition.
Really yeah, and really what we see the most success out of is guys that have to fight to get their positions. We saw it with Noah Powder last season when he had that good run of form. Why would we drop him when he was banging in goals week after week? And just having quality performances as well. Just giving the coaching staff a reason to give you a chance again over someone else.
So what a way to transition, right? So for those of you that haven't been following social media today. This, especially if you don't follow anything except for Orange County Soccer Club. It was announced earlier today that by Real Monarchs that Noah Powder has signed with them, which means he will no longer wear the orange and black and white colors of Orange County. I would assume Dylan and I would assume most of the fans, wish him the best of luck, except for those couple games this season where he's going to play against us. I know our interactions with the club last season, Dylan, he was a great guy, and he had a great run of form, like you said, at some point of the season there. So he surely will be missed out on the pitch, but it's understandable where he's looking for an opportunity to actually be able to get quality and lots of playing time. And maybe potentially when you're looking at what is in front of you in Orange County, that's difficult to come by the minutes, especially with what you're seeing with a solid attacking unit that Orange County has.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Noah could occasionally be really inconsistent. But as we saw when he was on, he was one of the better players in the team. That run of 3 weeks that he scored a goal, what did he get? Oklahoma, Fresno, and Salt Lake was really impressive. And he played 22 times for us this year, and he was generally good. But there's a lot of competition for him now on the left flank, and I don't know if he was consistent enough for Cloutier and the rest of the coaching staff to maybe be comfortable with him having week in and week out, especially now having Amico comfortable on the left in addition to Owusu Ansah. So he's 20. I mean, by the end of the season, he'll be 21. He's got a lot of time and a lot of developing to do, but knowing that he's this young and has that quality already is really, really impressive. He's going to do a lot of good for them, I imagine. It sucks not to have a guy of that quality and knowing that quality is going to continue moving forward, but I completely understand. The best thing for him is not for us to sign him and then have him try and fight to maybe be second choice or third choice, depending on how things are going for us. It makes a lot of sense for him to go somewhere where he's going to get playing time. And if he keeps developing, maybe hit that ceiling of his, maybe earn a shot with the, what is it, Real Salt Lake? Yeah. Couldn't even think of their MLS squad for a minute. I was like, do they have a name? No, just Real Salt Lake. So
Real something. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, totally makes sense. And I think it makes sense for him. It makes sense sort of for the club. They're looking at maybe filling some other players in those positions, maybe some more players with more experience that are more at their peak level, as opposed to a player that's still in the early stages, or at least the maybe mid stages of the development for soccer. So he'll be missed. Hopefully he doesn't have great games against Orange County, but the rest of the time he's playing, I mean, I wish him the best of luck. And I'm sure many other fans for Orange County will think the same. Let's move on really quick to some other news that came out today. And that is, I honestly don't know if it was today, but it was brought to my attention today that we have a preseason schedule for Orange County Soccer Club, not including Vissel Kobe, because I guess that's technically not a preseason game. That's part of Vissel Kobe's USA Tour type thing. So it's not an official preseason match there, but there were 6 matches announced for the club. One of them an MLS opponent, one of them a opponent from Mexico, one of them a local USL opponent, and then 3 matches against some local colleges, universities. So the first preseason match is going to be at home against Toronto FC. The second preseason match, another home match, will be against Tijuana. Club Tijuana, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce exactly what OCSC has on the website. Is it Zolos? I don't know.
I took French in high school, so I can't help you.
Yeah. Third preseason game is another home match. This one will be against the University of San Diego, the Toros. So that's
Toreros. You missed a letter. It's the Toreros. You missed a letter.
Toreros. Yes. Yeah, I totally messed that up.
Christian Duke and Aiden. No. Quinn went to UAkron. Christian Duke would be disappointed in you.
And there we go. I must see Dylan. You said I was doing great, and then I go and butcher a university
no
based
matter
out of
what.
San Diego.
You can't pin this on me. It's you speaking.
Fourth preseason match is another home match against LA Galaxy 2, Los Dos. And then the final 2 preseason matches are away matches. One of them is local to Orange County. One of them is going to be a little bit of a travel, but not too bad. The first one is going to be at Cal State Fullerton, home of the Elephants. And then you have Loyola Marymount University, LMU, home of the Lions.
Yeah, that one's going to be a little interesting. It's a bit of a drive for a Wednesday night.
Yes.
But at least the rest of them for us are going to be
local.
Yeah. So sure,
I mean,
Tuesday night is probably not how you expected to spend.
Because even like the Cal State Fullerton one, I think that's closer for a lot of Orange County SC fans than the actual home stadium for the club is. So that'll be a nice option there. And plus the club at one point in their history played there.
Way back in the day.
So it's a nice little it's a nice little mix of opponents there. You got the MLS opponent, a Mexico opponent, some colleges. I guess, you could hope for another MLS opponent in there, maybe. Looking at maybe like you could schedule something against either LAFC or Galaxy just to sort of, I guess, have a local connection there. Probably
something tells me no one at the club is holding their breath for an LAFC friendly.
Yeah, probably not. And also, I guess as fans of Orange County, we have to be excited because I'm sure if we had a Galaxy or an LAFC match, then that stadium would be truly overrun by those types of fans, not like what Phoenix was claiming. When they came out this way, I think you could have a legitimate case of like a 90% LAFC or Galaxy fan base.
They wouldn't show up. We don't exist to them. They're too good for us. They're first division.
Yeah, but there are a lot of fans of those clubs that are based out of Orange County that only make it out once or twice to Carson or downtown LA for a match. So they would jump at the opportunity to watch one of their clubs a lot closer to home. But
or they could just, support their local team.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
We've talked about this, not just you and me, but with other people that just don't get it. Is Orange County fans like to think that they're like first league market, and yeah, only a few select people in Orange County have realized the greatness of supporting a true local team that has more of a grassroots feel to it. As far as just trying to establish itself in the community and help develop, really help develop soccer, as opposed to we're like the mom and pop store, in LAFC and Galaxy are like Walmart and Target.
That's an interesting analogy.
There you go.
But all right.
Yeah. So there's your preseason. Folks, tweet at us. Let us know which of those 6 matches in the preseason are you most excited about. You can send it to our Twitter account. If you don't follow us yet, at OCSC_soccercast, go on Facebook to our page, the Orange and Black Soccercast. Instagram, tag us on Instagram if you take any pictures of Orange County soccer, and just let us know what you thought. Which of those matches are you most excited for? Which of those matches are you planning on attending? Let us all know. All right, let's do this because we actually still have some business to take care of from 2018 season. That's our final grades of the season. And again, on this one, Dylan is more prepared for it than I am. He's going to let us know which players we are going to talk about and give out grades for. Dylan, what is the name of the first player we will be grading?
Oh, man. I didn't actually look at the list, so now I got to go and look.
He wasn't ready.
It's going to be Andre Rawls.
Andre Rawls.
Should I say it louder for those in the back?
Why are we?
It's going to be Andre Rawls. It's going to be Andre the Giant, everyone.
Andre the Giant. Yeah. I'm going to miss chanting that.
Well,
unless maybe we can find another goalie named Andre that we can bring to the team.
Or we could bring him back. That'd be cool too.
I saw that there's some people posting Maybe we need to start the hashtag on social media, free Andre.
Well, I tried last week, but
But
someone deleted my tweet.
fingers crossed. Hey, maybe that's one of the reasons Orange County has yet to sign a first string goalkeeper. I know we have Aaron Cervantes. Nothing against your abilities, Aaron, but
You're a kid. You're not
Yeah.
quite there.
Yeah.
You got like 10 years before your prime.
so maybe that's one of the reasons we haven't yet signed a first string keeper. Is there's sort of some hope being held out that Andre becomes available on another loan, or maybe Colorado realizes they shouldn't have picked him up and they pay him off to leave. I don't know, but
We'll take him alone. It's cheaper that way.
I will say this: for the first time on FIFA 19, I started, or actually not my first time, my second time, I restarted. I did a manager career, and I am Celtic. I just randomly picked a club. I picked them, and I signed Andre Rolls as a goalkeeper. He's rated like 56 in the game,
Wow,
but he is in the game.
that's pretty tough on him. Because if you
is.
if we
Alex
give
Crognally's
Alex
like
Crognally a
70.
look, he's like a 67 with a potential of 71, I think.
That's it. Yes. That,
And
yeah.
the skill quality there is probably pretty equal between those two.
I would agree. I think it's just there's been less seen of Andre Rolls to anyone outside of USL, so maybe that's why.
Oh, and absolutely, EA does not care about US.
Well, he doesn't even have a picture on his player, so
Yeah, there you go.
but yeah.
We're gonna talk about Andre and what he does
Andre
for real
Rolls.
life, and what he did for real life for this team.
The greatest goalkeeper in the world.
Yeah. Love you, Andre. I'm sure Andre's dad's listening. Great guy. Maybe not the best in the world, but maybe the best in your heart, Ray. The best in our hearts as Orange County fans this past season.
Fans
Faced
loved him.
119 shots, made 87 saves. It's good for 73.1 success rate. He had 10 clean sheets, which was pretty huge. And generally, I felt like a lot of times Orange County really wouldn't get going until we conceded, usually within the first 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'd start playing. So a lot of
And
the
let's
time,
not forget. Let's not forget he also had an undeserved red card.
I don't know. Yeah, okay. See, I know you're going to keep arguing that one. I'm going to say, all right, he was the last man and he was outside his box, so it counts.
When restroom gets a yellow, then
You call him a
Andre
Streppo.
Rolls. But your phone changes it to restroom, right?
So does everyone else's phones.
So I gotta test that out. I'm gonna pull up my phone right now and see what it does.
Anyway,
Keep talking while I try it out on my Pixel.
Yeah. Wow, we're doing great this week.
We are.
Andre was a really quality goalkeeper. He was a really quality person as well. Both coming over and saying hi to the fans, and anytime that we wanted to talk to him as members of the media, he really seemed like he loved it here, talking to him and talking to his family. They said the same thing. He loved being here. He's the third string in Colorado right now, behind Tim Howard and some other guy. And I imagine that he probably won't see too much playing time. Same as Charlie Lyon this past year with LAFC. So I'm hoping maybe we get a shot at picking him up again. And then with the retirement of Tim Howard at the end of this season, that maybe he gets some time. It's hard to say basically what I expect Ray is doing right now. Having just seen him holding both a glass of Guinness and his phone up to the screen.
If you didn't tell anyone, it looks like root beer. So I'm just trying to cover up our previous conversations while I show what my phone says as far as
anything.
It did not correct.
Apparently we're married, so
apparently I did say that
put
last
it in
week.
a note or something.
I don't want to put my big old notepad up.
Also, there's nothing there that like.
Yeah, there's nothing. It's it's just tickets. Yeah, I guess so. Here, look at it. I'm just gonna hold it up to the camera there. It did not change it. I just typed it in and hit send, and it put Restrepo. So
all right, there you have it. Apple is racist.
Yes, it calls
That's
Restrepo
an actual
Restrepo.
tweet from Diego Restrepo, probably. But Like,
okay, well, we're talking about Andre Rawls, though. We got to get back to Andre Rawls.
I think I've basically come to it. Andre absolutely deserves an A, if not an A plus. I mean, he was really, really strong for us.
He gets an A.
Yeah, and he did have that injury against Phoenix, and he was a little shaky when he came back from that. But that's to be expected with a goalkeeper. You need that match confidence and match fitness to be able to get into your best form. And, a couple weeks later, he was in there. He saved us a lot of games. And he was by far our best goalkeeper, I think. And that's no disrespect to Casey Byers. And, I mean, let's be realistic. Luis Lopez really is not even in that consideration. But week in, week out, he was pretty strong. And so, hopefully we get him back. He definitely changed my opinion from when we first picked him up. I was thinking that Casey Byers is going to get the number 1. We signed this guy. I was thinking, what the heck? We have our goalkeeper already. We don't need this guy. But, being a really good player and above that being a really good person makes it hard to argue anything against him. So I'm going to give him an A+.
So you're giving an A+. All right.
On top of being an amazing player.
Okay. I like all what you had to say there. I give him an A only because he did have a small batch of games where he was just off his game. He was on fire early on in the season, got injured, came back, was struggling a little bit at some point there, got back up to some good form towards the end of the season. All in all, he had
form. Do you remember that game against Reno in the playoffs? He killed it.
No, I totally agree with you. I think he had an amazing season. I'm on page with you. I want him back, in an Orange County SC jersey for next season. I would be ecstatic. I think I would buy if Orange County. I don't think they even sell keeper.
They did not this past year or the year.
If they would, I would buy one of him if he's back on the club.
Ben, make that happen, please.
No, he was amazing for the club. I think anytime he was not between the posts, I think Orange County fans were just a little bit sad. Nothing against Casey Byers, nothing against Luis Lopez, nothing against Aaron Cervantes, even though he didn't get any opportunities last season. Andre Rawls was just on a different level from those guys, and you could see what Colorado is trying to take a chance on with him. Even though they have plenty of goalkeepers there, you can see why a team would want to take a chance on him. He's not quite the youngest player in the world. He's not yet at the peak for goalkeepers. I know goalkeepers tend to peak a little bit later than most other players. But there's a reason why a team with some good goalkeepers decided to pick him up after NYFC decided not to keep him.
It's NYCFC to you.
NYCFC. Sorry, I forgot.
It's okay. They're irrelevant. They play in a baseball stadium.
Yes. And they're also linked to Man City and some team in Australia. And they're part of one of those big Walmart type soccer teams.
Walmart might be a little more ethical of a company than the owners of those. Just saying.
There you go.
And if you're a City fan, you can @ me on Twitter and just please try and defend the atrocious human rights record of everyone in charge of those clubs. Anyway.
You need to do like a deep insider story on that, Dylan.
It already exists.
Well, I do one again. I would love to have him back in the team. I think he was amazing. He is definitely the goalkeeper I'd want on the team. If there was a way, if I could just sit there and I can go up to USL and say, there's one player that I want on our team, make it happen, it would be him. And this is, I'm saying, like, it was just like the USL genie or something like that, where I can
tell the league that, not the.
Yeah, I would tell the league that.
Okay.
Not the owner. The league would know. Right. The league would have to make it happen.
Crowdsource the money, crowdfund, whatever the term is, the money, find his release clause, trigger it, and then hire him in Orange County.
Go for it.
How's that sound, everyone? Sounds great.
You can write your checks to Ray Samora, or you can just write them to cash and just send them my way.
Aiden Quinn played 37 games for Orange County this year, subbed off one time for 7 minutes. for Ami Pineda. He may have not won the USL MVP, but statistically he was, I would argue, the best player in the USL. I know Emmanuel Ledesma from Cincinnati won it.
It was rigged.
Ray calls East Coast bias. I say Ledesma scored 4 more goals, so that's what we get. Quinn had 106 key passes, 15 assists. That's hard to compete with, not to mention 12 goals.
But
a guy like him is incredible. Go ahead, Ray.
No, I was just gonna say, because you're saying, talking about he was probably the best player in the league last season, but unfortunately, when it came down to voting, he had to compete with Thomas Enevoldsen for votes, and those two took votes away from each other. That's why the moment I saw, I'm proud to have 2 players in the ML, in the USL MVP. Man, say that 5 times fast after drinking some root beer.
USL MVP, USL MVP, USL MVP.
Yeah, you see, you messed up right there, buddy. But when I was excited to see 2 names up there, but when 2 names got put up there, I knew right away neither of them are going to win the MVP because they're going to take votes away from each other. People that are watching, both of them had a case. It just happened. Nothing against on Thomas Enevoldsen, but if he wasn't on there, Aiden Quinn would have won that MVP vote. I put my
eat your hat, right?
Yeah, I'll eat crow if anyone can prove otherwise.
Okay. Anyway, Quinn wasn't asked to do too much defensively, and that was fine. That was mostly Christian Duke's job, and they worked really well in tandem. It's hard to say that this guy doesn't belong in the MLS. He's one of those players that really could go up and do really well. We're lucky to have him signed to a multi-year contract now. I'm worried that at some point he's still going to get poached from us, and that'll be a huge, huge void for us to fill. But basically, we sign this guy. He doesn't fit into Cincinnati's system or whatever the issue is. He comes here, and he basically turns the team on its head. Maybe not by himself, but at least when we're thinking of an attacking standard, that's mostly the case. He was incredible. He absolutely deserves. I'm going to give him an A+, and he absolutely deserves it. His stats this year were he had a career year. He's going into his prime. Probably expect more of the same. He just had the vision and the work rate and the brain to get everything done, and
the desire.
And the desire, yeah. And he got it done week in, week out, all throughout the season. Seriously, only missed 7 minutes, and we subbed him off. The game was on ice, so Ami Pineda could get some minutes. And, I'm really excited to have him back. A+.
Well deserving of an A+. I give him an A+ as well. So far, the only player that we've discussed that we've both agreed on as an A+. What can you not say about his season? You've already heard it from me. I think he should have been the MVP of the USL. Nothing against Ledesma. Quinn, just his all around. Yes, he didn't score as many goals, but his all around performance, passing, leadership, key goals and key moments. He was definitely the team's MVP, and he was, again, I think should have been the MVP of the USL.
Yeah. You mentioned that Ledesma had more goals, but Ledesma also had more shots, had a lower conversion rate, and that was the same amongst passes to assists and shots to goals as well. So basically, if you take Quinn's conversion rate and apply it to the amount of goals that to the amount of shots that Ledesma had, you'd have 4 or 5 more goals. I've talked about this a few weeks ago after the end of the season when they announced the MVP. I'm still the same. Aiden Quinn should have been the MVP. Obviously I'm a homer, but also the stats don't lie. The dude had almost 2,500 passes. Come on,
and
have that effect anywhere else.
So a good point made by one of our watchers, listeners on YouTube, Harry Austin, is basically saying awards should be East and West since
Absolutely.
it's separate leagues, and these teams do never until the final really never play each other. Maybe once or twice there's this interconference game. So it's basically like two separate leagues. You can't really compare apples to apples. It's always going to be apples to oranges in this situation. So what Aiden Quinn's putting up on Orange County and what Ledesma's putting up there in, was he Louisville? Right? Cincinnati, one of those two. Are we allowed to mention Cincinnati anymore? Just okay. But there's no way to compare directly those two players and their stats. You can't really tell which league had the stronger, teams, the stronger schedule. I personally think the Western Conference had that, but there's no real way to definitively prove that. Other than, I guess, if you look at who won the whole thing, Louisville did. But even then, it's difficult to say that is your deciding factor on which conference was stronger, because top to bottom, I feel like the Western Conference was a lot stronger. And
also Orange County has more playoff wins than Cincinnati. So yeah.
There we go. Aiden Quinn, the unanimous A+ from both Dylan and I.
So you know who's next, right? There's one player left.
Would it be the player that took County Line Coalition the longest to come up with a chant for?
It would be him.
I think that was the most difficult task. Just why couldn't he have been named Smith or something where that would just fit right into almost any song or any chant?
You might as well say the name. It's your turn to go first.
Tomas Enevoldsen.
He's not Spanish.
I'm calling him Tomas.
Why don't you call him Thomas?
Thomas Enevoldsen. Damn you, Dylan.
I won't let you do this.
Thomas Enevoldsen, probably, I mean, if you look at it, he was definitely the emotional leader out in the pitch there. If he wasn't happy, he let the players know it.
He let everyone know it.
He let everyone know. You knew the moment he wasn't happy. You saw it. What can we say about him? I mean, a goal scoring machine from, he's an experienced player, played in the World Cup. How many USL players can basically in their prime can say they were former World Cup players? It's probably something you can count like on your hands. If that,
on one hand, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe with a couple of fingers.
We talked about it earlier. He was on the roster, basically trying to audition for a MLS spot. Aren't we glad and happy that he chose Orange County and Orange County chose him as that opportunity to audition for MLS, because he put up one of the greatest seasons any Orange County soccer club, Orange County Blue fans probably can think of. He's going to definitely have one of those top seasons. If not for Aiden Quinn, he would have been the MVP of the team. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Dylan?
That's pretty fair. The MLS as a whole is really missing out on a player of his quality. I don't know why teams passed up on him. He's back in Denmark right now. He's currently training and he's posting all of his workouts on Instagram. You can watch him on his stories. I just thinking about the workouts that he's going through makes my legs burn and my lungs burn. But in 2018, he was absolutely unstoppable. He obviously had a really strong match against Tulsa, picking up that hat trick, and rightfully man of the match. And it was probably man of the match for us multiple times, and deservedly so. He was a guy that was clearly way too good for the USL. But if his desire was to play in the US, it made complete sense as to why he was doing so. It's hard to really say too much else. I mean, the stats are there. 20 goals is just absolutely incredible. You tack on 10 assists to go with that, 70 key passes. It's wonderful. And most of his success came in tandem with Michael Seton. I imagine that Michael probably learned a lot from Thomas Enevoldsen as well, and that desire and that professionalism. Enevoldsen turned 31 midway through this season. He doesn't show any signs of slowing down. If you watch how hard he works, both on the pitch or maybe in his training now, that doesn't seem like it's ever going to really change. He didn't have to basically do anything defensively. We let him have free reign to just attack in every minute of every game we played this year. And that showed. And he was really, really, really good at it. So you can't argue. You've got to give him an A+. He's the best player that's ever played for this team.
Other than Aiden Quinn? Or do you think he is better than Aiden Quinn?
I would say that Thomas Enevoldsen is probably better than Aiden Quinn. Aiden's got a few years to prove that, I think. But on top of that, I just think Enevoldsen's history playing in the World Cup, playing in the Champions League, scoring in the Champions League, just huge, huge things. And it's hard to say that someone with that background, still relatively within their prime and working really hard and playing really well, isn't the best player.
And so you mentioned he scored 20 goals on the season. Just think of what it would have been if he would have made some shots that he missed. Because there was, I can't think of exactly when they were. I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly which goal, which match it was, but there were a few times throughout the season where you're looking at it and you're like, he should have scored there. And for whatever reason, he didn't. So he very easily could have had 25 goals on the season. And then also think about it. If you didn't have a Michael Seton in the second half of the season taking a lot of scoring opportunities, they teamed up well. And Michael Seton did feed Enevoldsen and vice versa. But, you know, he had a very solid, deep team of players where he wasn't the lone person being relied upon to score. He had multiple players that could score the ball, and the fact that he still scored 20 on the season is an amazing thing.
And never took penalties and didn't take free kicks.
Yeah. He just think of that. If he
had taken penalties, he would have won the Golden Boot. And
how many goals did it
said as well?
I don't know if you have the stats in front of you on it, but how many penalties did Aiden Quinn score? Because he was our penalty.
Probably had to be somewhere around 7, I imagine.
Yeah. So he would have had 27 goals. And again, if you didn't have a deep roster of players, a bunch of players that can actually score the ball, he could have easily had 30 on the season. I know this is all, speculation, just looking back and sort of guessing, but yeah, if he would have taken the penalties, definitely, you look at him, he's probably above average in that, position or in that role. And again, if you didn't have a strong second half of the season for Michael Seton, there's more opportunities for Enevoldsen. So yeah, I agree with you on your grade, A+ for him. I think both him and Quinn both deserve, perfect scores from us. They were just an amazing two players on an amazing season for Orange County.
Yeah. And he remains unsigned. If you find yourself, well, by the time this is released as a podcast, there are 7 days remaining in the January transfer window. So, maybe we'll get lucky and he'll end up coming back. Who knows? It's hard to say. I imagine he's definitely going to have a job just based on his success and his work ethic and his ability still. But maybe we'll get lucky and his goal is to play in America, and he'll come back to maybe prove the MLS wrong, that it wasn't just one season fluke and that he can do it again and that he can do it in the MLS.
Come back to County, Enevoldsen. I'll buy you a beer.
Please. I'll buy you coconut water or whatever healthy people drink.
Oh, come on. Even healthy people, can drink a beer every once in a while. It's good for you.
I think it's
sometimes.
I think it's actually not, but I'm not a doctor.
All right, so that does it. We actually are now officially wrapped up on 2018. The only thing that was holding us back and still looking back at the past were our grades. We did our final grades there with Andre Rawls getting basically an A+. Dylan, man, you were just generous tonight. All A+ from Dylan. Andre Rolls.
It's my root beer that I'm having. That's twice as strong as yours.
So Andre Rolls got an A from me only because he had a small period of the season where he was probably not performing up to what would be expected of him. Other than that, A+ is all around. It was just a fun night for grades, I guess. So that officially wraps up 2018. We will now, the only time we will be discussing 2018 from this point is if we bring back anyone else from that roster and we just sort of look back at what they bring to this team based on what they did in the past, or if we ever have some sort of this week in Orange County Soccer Club history type thing, which who knows, maybe that'll somehow find its way on here. Let's move on. A couple other things to talk about news-wise. Let's talk about Vissel Kobe. I know we'll still have another episode next week before we actually get into a chance to play with them, but they are actually, I believe, on their way, maybe as we speak, or if not, very shortly. They're on their way from Japan out to California. They actually are going to be staying out in Costa Mesa, and they have a press conference scheduled for Friday. Just sort of discuss what's going on with this tour, give local media an opportunity to hear from them, maybe ask some questions and whatnot. I plan on being there. I think Dylan plans on being there as well. So we're going to definitely try and get some information. So follow not just the podcast social media accounts, but follow Dylan and I, our personal accounts, if you want to stay up to date on what we're hearing or what's going on there.
We're done. I'm not the police. I'm not here to tell you what, or your parents. I'm not here to tell you what to do.
We'll share any relevant information, whether it's, just some neat stuff we learned from it, or if there's any direct information regarding their match, which is, I believe, Orange County is the final match of their USA tour. I'm sure Dylan or I will ask a question or two about that, what it's like maybe to play in a stadium like Championship Soccer Stadium, or just what their thoughts are. We'll figure that all out, but that's just something coming up. So definitely follow that. What else? Oh, there was actually, this is going to take me a little bit of moment to look up some information. So
a little bit of moment, everyone.
Yep. A little bit of moment. So I don't know, Dylan, if you want to do a quick little tap dance or something for our listeners while I pull up some information here.
Because they can see me tap dancing, Ray.
Or if you put a camera on your computer, they would see you tap dancing.
I like people not knowing.
Let's do this. We should ask people to tweet out or send out a tweet. Do you think Dylan needs to invest in a webcam?
I will ignore all of your tweets. Ray, what are you supposed to be doing right now, Ray? Because I have something I can talk about.
I'm looking up information.
Okay. Anyway, everyone.
Well, talk about whatever it is.
I previewed this last week, but our very own Michael Seaton has officially released his album. I think you can find it on Tidal in addition to iTunes and probably Spotify as well. I don't know if it's going to be anyone's jam necessarily, but Match My Speed, which he released just after the end of the season, was quite good. So I haven't gotten a chance to listen to it yet, but I am very excited to give it a listen to his latest album. I'm legitimately thrilled to give this a listen.
You haven't listened to it yet?
No, I haven't. Was a little busy today doing some stuff, playing with some power tools, but I'm going to give it a listen probably tomorrow morning when I wake up, because I'm old and it's getting late.
So then what we can say is be ready for our next episode where Dylan will do a full-on review of the album.
I'll put it on the website and you guys can read something. Ooh. It's good for you.
All right. So I'm looking for what I'm looking for and I just can't find it. So I'm just going to talk briefly about what I read. I just don't feel like actually trying to dig and search. But I was scrolling through, I believe it was on Facebook today. There was an article posted about the sort of education program that's set up with Orange County Soccer Club that allows players that are, I believe, 16 and older that are looking at signing a professional contract an opportunity to still attend college if and when they decide that pro soccer is not for them. For those of you that know, in the US, once you sign or take any kind of money for a sport, you are no longer eligible to play that sport in college, which means the chances are very slim that you're going to get a scholarship to play sports in college. So it makes that choice difficult to choose between following your dream as possibly becoming a great professional soccer player or holding off to go to a college university program. So I was reading on it. It looks like basically what it is they set some sort of fund up for those players that do sign that contract. It allows them to sort of, I guess, bank some money so that if they decide pro soccer is not for them and they want to go and attend college, they at least have some money to go towards a college education. So that way the player and the parents are not then freaking out at that point that it didn't work out. And now how are they going to pay for college? I think it's pretty neat. Haven't heard or seen anything similar to that from other clubs. So it's a neat thing. I think Aaron Cervantes is one of the players that sort of falls under this neat little thing. So pretty interesting. What are your thoughts on that, Dylan?
Well, James, if you're listening, I can kick a soccer ball. So if you'd like, I would take literally whatever the league minimum is in money and be content with never playing. And I would absolutely jump at the opportunity. It's great. Soccer in this country is pay to play. And while that's awesome, if you're in a place like Orange County where you might have that money, or I guess your parents might have that money, to be able to get you into the right club and get you into the right kind of pipeline into success and maybe earning a pro contract someday or getting into like a D1 college or a D2 college where you're going to get a scholarship to play. This is great. It works out really nicely for those guys that maybe it's not for them after a couple of years, or maybe the career options are drying up after a couple of years, and so they're going to go back to school and do whatever it is they want to do. It's huge. It's great that the club's getting behind this and offering this to players, especially when part of what the club is trying to do is get younger players through the pipeline and develop them, not only for the club's goods, but just for soccer in general. And we see that a little bit with the Wolves agreement as well. Basically, anyone wants to sign me, that'd be awesome. Please do. But beyond that, providing another option for guys who are passing up money to go to college is huge, especially in a really competitive area like sports and a really competitive area like academia.
Well, and especially with soccer, because soccer is a little bit different than most other sports. Most of the best players in soccer aren't coming through college like what you see in football, basketball, even baseball. A lot of players end up going to college. Soccer's a lot different. It's the culture of it worldwide. It's not something where, and I think there have been articles recently on it, how the MLS Super Draft just really doesn't work much anymore because most of the players either get drafted and don't really make it. Maybe they stay one season with a club and they get released. And apparently clubs are able to actually pass on their picks if they just don't see anyone that's worth picking. That's another article and I'll have to look it up, but I wanted to sort of call out the article that I was referencing was one that I saw today. It was being posted around Facebook by some of the Counterline Coalition people. It's on soccertoday.com. And
I didn't have to tell you, you got it.
Yeah.
Everyone would be really proud. Everyone, round of applause.
I actually did some.
They're clapping, Ray. They're clapping.
Yes, they are. I can hear it. But I mean, it's really neat that this is there. Yes, the players are still going to forfeit their opportunity to play college soccer if they sign a pro contract, but it still gives them that opportunity to not have to, I guess, choose between the two. If you really think your heart is into becoming a pro as quickly as possible, it still gives you the opportunity to try it and still go to college afterwards. So I'd love to see other U.S. soccer teams and clubs follow this sort of idea of what's going on with this. It would be nice to see. And I think it would definitely help soccer's growth in the United States. It's probably one of the things that holds it back is that most soccer players don't really go pro until after college because of that whole you have to go to college and you have to get an education. And the only way you can do that is by not becoming pro. This changes that. So pretty neat, pretty cool.
And it really is great because, speaking from first-hand experience, college is not cheap. And if you decide to pass up on that opportunity for a scholarship to try and play professionally and it ends up not working out, it's probably invaluable to these guys to have the chance to not have to take out, tens of thousands of dollars in student loans to then go and get an education if the soccer thing doesn't work out. It's not super exciting of a future for me because I'm not a player at Orange County at the moment, so I'm definitely looking at those loans. But
you could have gone to the tryouts this weekend and actually tried out.
I did go to the tryouts, but I didn't try out.
So let's go to that then. Is there anything you can share with us from the tryouts? Anything that you noticed, saw, any interesting news to share with our listeners from the tryouts?
No, not too much. I missed Sunday because I had some family stuff to take care of and wanted to live a little bit of my personal life away from soccer, amazingly. But Saturday seemed to be a mixed bag, but no one from the matches that I saw was really standing out as being great USL quality. There'll probably be some guys that get in there. Sure, there's a bunch of guys that are going to get trials and maybe earn some backup spots with the club. But I imagine we won't really know until those preseason game starts kicking off, and then hopefully remembering some faces that I saw this past weekend.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. It's I feel like a lot of those guys are chasing the dream of being able to say that they've played professionally. And maybe they're not really at a professional level, but I mean, hats off to them for going and trying, and hats off to Orange County and to clubs around the USL for giving people a shot to try anyway.
You can't make it if you don't try. So it's awesome to see that that's happening. Do you have a rough estimate of how many people you saw there, or how many people tried out? Any guess?
So there were 4 teams. No, there were 6 teams, around 13 players each, with then I guess 6 goalkeepers. So someone else do that math.
So maybe somewhere in the
78, maybe just
80-ish. Cool.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Could have been more. Who knows?
Well, I mean, for those of you that went to the tryouts and tried out, and if you're listening to this,
welcome.
Fingers crossed you hear from either Orange County or, maybe, I don't know if there was any representatives from LA Wolves there now that there's that affiliation. Maybe they were there checking out some of this. Maybe there's an opportunity there. Or maybe it's something where the coaching staff at Orange County can say, hey, LA Wolves, check out this guy. This guy was decent, not quite our level, but he definitely deserves an opportunity. So good to those that went out and tried. It's tough. It's
more than I've been doing because all I'm doing is drinking root beer without the root.
Anything else that you can think of that we need to discuss before we get on to the final portions of the show?
No, you guys everyone needs to read some more, but we'll get to that.
Read. People are going to stop listening to us because you keep telling them to read.
They'll just skip the last 5 minutes.
So let's get into it then. Let's get into our final or our thoughts. Random thoughts here. Dylan, share your book or poem or magazine recommendation.
Well, I gave everyone an easy one last week at 19 lines. This week you're not getting such an easy one, but it is a quick read despite its length. A Prayer for Owen Meany is a wonderful book. Some of you are probably young enough to be reading that in the next couple of years or this year if you're still in high school. And for some of you that might be a little bit older, you may have missed out on that. You should read this book. It's incredible. It's not a short book. It's a whole 100 pages, like 600 pages but it's well worth it, and it's a quick read. It's all about friendship and being a decent person, and yeah.
Awesome.
You got time before soccer starts. I mean, you got to read something, people, please.
So since my wife, ooh, man, what is this, man? I'm playing like a bunch of random noises today. And you probably didn't hear what I heard, but I was hearing some noises on my headphones, so that's why I'm saying that. So since my wife made me promise I couldn't discuss what our conversation was on the way home from In-N-Out tonight, I'm gonna have to talk about something else.
Delicious.
Yeah, shucks. It's a little bit of a sad note here to end the show on. Maybe I'll think of something happy afterwards, but prayers and thoughts go out to friends and family of the soccer player out in he just signed with Cardiff City.
Signed with Cardiff, yeah. Emiliano Salas.
Yes. His plane went missing. Was it 2 nights ago or over the weekend?
Yeah. Signed from Nantes. Had an amazing season. And that's kind of how it ends.
Went back to say basically a final goodbye to his teammates because he was moving on to the Premier League in Cardiff City. And on that flight, after heading home to say goodbye, he went to England to sign a contract, went home to say goodbye. And on the way back, the plane went missing. I don't believe the plane has been found yet. At this point, they're just saying it's now a recovery and not a rescue mission, which makes it even more sad that, it's this Cardiff City. I believe this was their biggest signing ever for a player. So for a team that's fighting to stay up in the Premier League, I believe they're in the Premier League this year.
They are. Yeah.
They're signing,
proven goal scorer.
Yeah.
A really talented player in his prime. And,
Argentinian. Yeah, he's from Argentina. So the sad news is, that it's one day you're signing a big contract and you're moving on to bigger things, and the next day just craziness happens. I'm sort of at a loss of words of what else to say on that. Again, praying and thoughts going out for a miracle and miraculous finding of the plane and possibly some survivors, but at this point it's not looking too good. And just thoughts go out to friends, family, fans of the clubs, fan of the player, and just fans of soccer in general, because it seems like every few months or so there's some sort of story that we're hearing on this. And when you have so many soccer players all around the world, so many teams and leagues, statistics would just say you're going to hear stuff like this. But it's just a sad thing to hear. And yeah.
It's been an interesting season for Prem, people involved in the Prem and air transport. In October, Khun Vishay, the helicopter crash, and now this as well. So it's a little bit of the thing that reminds you that maybe soccer isn't just a game that's played on a field, but Khun Vishay had a huge impact on the city of Leicester, and seems like Salah was loved by Nantes players and his bosses. I know Claudio Ranieri used to be one of his coaches, and he spoke super highly of him as well. These are people, not just players, and things like this happen. And it's with the part where you get to see that massive amount of, humanity and community that the sport brings.
Yes. Moving on. Let's see. What is it? A little around 5 or 6 weeks from the season opener. For those of you that are planning on heading out, remember the season opener for Orange County is in Reno. It is a midday game. I believe the kickoff is 1:45 or 2 o'clock. Probably not the greatest time to drive up same day like I was planning on doing initially, but there are some good plane tickets out there.
Hell of a time to mention plane tickets, Ray. Come on.
Whatever, man. I don't always think.
There's no water in between here and Reno.
Yeah, there isn't. There's mountains though.
They'll find you.
If anyone's ever seen that one movie of the what is it? I can't remember the movie. It's back from like the 90s, the soccer team or rugby team or whatever team it was from some South American country, and they crash into snowy mountains. But oh man, what a way to end this show.
Jeez. Thought I was the downer of the podcast, but Ray's taking the title, everyone.
If you are planning on heading out to the match, make sure you go and look for a way to get out there. The team would love to see you out there. The fans that are traveling out there would love to see as many of us head out there. So if you're even thinking about it, look at it. There's some good deals out there. There's a bunch of people that are thinking of heading out on the Friday, staying overnight, going to the match, staying for another night, and heading home Sunday. So a bunch of opportunities to go out and hang out with other soccer fans, other Orange County Soccer Club fans. So make your way out there.
As Ray says, if you don't have the money now, that's what credit cards are for. Yep. I can't recommend that as a good option. But, whatever. You do with your own finances, whatever you want.
Yes. Got to remind everyone that we are part of the Beautiful Game Network. BGN.FM is where you can find our podcast, plus many other podcasts. We've had many guests from that network joining us. BGN.FM. You can follow them on social media at the BGNFM. And Dylan actually had a written piece that was posted on their site as well. So follow them, follow the other podcasts, check them all out. Find us there. Angels on Parade is another partner that we love to work with. Alicia over there has covered Orange County forever, and she's helped us in our beginnings here as a podcast, and the website has. So check them out as well. Still no sponsor, so I'm not going to tell you go buy something from somewhere or talk to anyone, but anything else, Dylan?
No, everyone have a lovely week. Be safe. We'll see you all so soon when the season starts and the preseason starts. We'll have some info for you later this week after the press conference with the Vissel Kobe, and all that fun stuff.
Oh,
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, and to let everyone know, we will be changing our recording schedule starting next week. I believe we're going to start recording on Tuesday nights, I believe. And so we'll be recording Tuesday nights, 8:30. Podcasts will release on Wednesdays. So for those of you who like to listen live, mark your calendars or whatever. And for those of you who listen to the podcast, it's a day earlier than it's been over the last few months here that you'll be able to hear both Dylan and my wonderful voices on your stereo or headphones, earbuds.
Or in mono. I mean, whatever. I'm cool about that retro thing.
Yeah. For those of you that have been checking out our podcast since the beginning, thanks for coming back each and every episode. For those of you that watch us live on our YouTube live stream, thank you for watching live, chatting. I saw a few of you chatting back and forth on that, so thank you. We appreciate it. Share our podcast with your friends, any other fans of soccer, so they can start listening to all our wonderful thoughts. If you're listening for the first time or very recently, go back and check out some of our older episodes so you can hear all that wonderful stuff that we're discussing or that we're referencing when we talk, and we do talk a lot. For Dylan, myself, this is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, and we are out. Oh, God, you are my team until the day I die. And when that happens, I'll still be singing way up in the sky. Whoa. Until the day I die, and when that happens, I'll still be singing way up in the sky. Podcasts are a great way for your business to advertise to target audiences. And the Orange and Black Soccer Cast is looking for advertisers like you. If you're interested in advertising your business on our podcast, please email us at info@orangeandblacksoccercast.com. The Orange and Black Soccer Cast has joined forces with many other soccer podcasts, many of them focusing on the USL. We're now part of the Beautiful Game Network, BGN.FM.